Devin Haney versus Teofimo Lopez. Finally, we get the fight that they've been teasing for like, 4 or 5 years that we never got. But there's a problem, and if you click on the video, you have a clue on what that might be. So we're going to cover that here in a second. But first, if you're new here, thank you for clicking this video. And if you're an old subscriber, thank you for supporting. Please, in both instances, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing this video. It helps us out a lot. And let's get down right to it. So I'm going to flash eventually around here when I get to it, some of the receipts. But why is it that there's a problem? Well, here Turki Al-Sheikh has a few problems, so we're going to cover those right now. Number one problem that he's going to have, well, I guess you could call it a secondary problem, right, to the number one problem. The secondary problem being that he has two guys main eventing, which I believe it should be a main event. That one, Teofimo Lopez has never been in a pay-per-view event ever. He's never been in a pay-per-view event, and so he's not a proven commodity as a pay-per-view star at all whatsoever. Has he been making headlines lately? Yes. Does he have a little bit more buzz because of the headlines he's been making? Yes. Are they headlines that are positive? No. Would people, tune in to see a guy who has made racist remarks get his ass beat? Yes. Is Devin Haney the guy that you would tune in to see that ass beat and be handed out with? No. So, because we don't believe, especially after the last fight that Devin Haney put up, that he could whoop anybody in a way that is satisfying to a demographic of like minorities that are getting, ridiculed by another minority. You would think maybe like Tank Davis or Keyshawn Davis, things like that. You would probably say, okay, no, that might be an ass beating. But Devin Haney, in his last fight, specifically his last two fights, has not been that guy. The fight with Ryan, he got decimated, and in the fight that he has had, he ran for his life. And so that's. And also as a pay-per-view star, which he has been in pay-per-view events, he has proven that he can't sell out a dime. Like he just can't sell, right? I don't think it's ever gone over 140,000 pay-per-view buys, and that's being generous. I think it's been less than that. So that's the one problem that Turki Al-Sheikh is facing. Now the next problem is, as you saw about the thumbnail, is the next thing, which coincides with the fact that Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez probably won't be able to sell pay-per-view, is he's hosting it on the same day that the more than likely the Tank Davis fight is going to happen in Las Vegas. Okay, Tank Davis' last fight was 262,000 pay-per-view buys, right? At a very high price point on pay-per-view. So it was able to make like $21 million pay-per-view, and it sold out the arena. Tank Davis, by all measures of the word, is a pay-per-view star. You put Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez versus the highly anticipated rematch between Roach and Tank Davis on the same day. Who you think is going to have to move, right? So now, also, Turki Al-Sheikh is holding the Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney fight in Riyadh, which is not a venue that is live. Meaning, you don't hear the roar. You don't hear, you have two Americans fighting on foreign soil. You're not gonna get that vigor, that crazy atmospheric thing when two fighters that you want to see, go head to head. Pause. You're not gonna get that vigor, that fervor, that brings along with a major fight, right? You're gonna get, some claps, but you're not gonna get, and you're gonna get some cheering, but you're not gonna get that energy. I guarantee you, which fight will have energy, and that's Tank Davis Lamont Roach rematch, because it's being held in Las Vegas, Nevada. Right? So it's going to be local to Americans. It's going to be on American TV. And it's a more anticipated rematch than the fight between Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney, which we want to see. So Turki Al-Sheikh has, and you know that Devin Haney is going to want a pretty penny. Teofimo Lopez is going to try to make his first, by his own words, never made $1 million. So he's going to try to make his first $2, $3, $4, $5 million. So you're probably going to have like $10 million on Haney, $5 million on Teofimo. That's $15 million. And then, the promotion and all of that, you're going to be into the $20, $30 million range. Whereas Tank Davis with Lamont Roach already cleared $21 million in the first one. You understand what I'm saying? So unless you super stack that card with Devin Haney and move it to another, time slot, hours before the Tank Davis, I don't see how you make money. I don't see how that's a bad look. And the ring itself actually reported that Tank Davis and the Lamont Roach rematch was going to take place August 16th. And that is owned by Turki Al-Sheikh and Riyadh Season. So I don't know how they picked that date out of the blue, knowing that they were going to go head-to-head with Tank, unless Turki Al-Sheikh wants to go head-to-head with Tank Davis, trying to teach him a lesson. But I don't think Turki Al-Sheikh has taught anybody a lesson so far, except he given us the matchups that we wanted. Yes, he's giving us the fights that we want to see, sure, but they haven't been successful financially. So why would you do that to yourself, right? It's most like cutting off your nose to spite your face. I think the right thing to do here is you move that time slot up, give us a great weekend of fights. I don't mind having both of them on the same date. I'm talking about if I was a promoter, what would I do? I would move the Devin Haney card early in the day, then let Lamont Roach and Tank Davis land where it lands, and then we all make money. That way he doesn't have to stack that undercard, right? And pay more money out that he needs to then try to turn a break-even point. Maybe a profit. I don't know. It's going to be hard to see that be a successful weekend for Turki Al-Sheikh with the Devin Haney Teofimo Lopez fight being on the same card, on the same night, in the same time slot, or similar time slot as Tank Davis. I remember when UFC did that with Canelo Alvarez, and they moved their main event. They waited, because they didn't want to go head-to-head and messed up their ratings. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you think there's a mistake? Do you think that Turki Al-Sheikh can go head-to-head with Tank Davis and beat him at a pay-per-view event? Or do you think that it's a huge mistake and he should move his slot either a day later, day before, or hours before? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next video. And I'm out. Peace.